Hi everyone. This is the Peak Blockchain podcast, and welcome back to another exciting episode. And in today's episode, we will be talking about the concept of Web3 because Web3 is quite a buzzword and has been trending for quite a while now. So, how does Web3 differentiate itself from Web2, and how it's gonna impact our day-to-day lives going forward? Are we just ready to see the next stage of the internet revolution? We'll try to cover all these points along with many more in today's episode. And today, I have the privilege to invite Vijay Dhanasekaran, who is joining us from the United States. He is currently working as a chief blockchain strategist and an advisor at Blocknetics, which is a prominent firm within the blockchain space. Not only that, he holds a substantial experience within this space in a leadership role in the past decade or so. So I'm sure we'll have an interesting conversation and we'll get to learn a lot from the man himself. Also, as an angel investor, he probably looks out for opportunities to invest in early stage blockchain, Web3, or emerging tech startups. So I'm sure with his rich experience and profound knowledge on the subject, we're going to have a great session today. Vijay, welcome to the Peak Blockchain podcast.
Thanks, Garvit. Thanks for that introduction.
Mhm.
I'm happy to see you and also be with the team to share my knowledge and insight about like how the Web3 is heading into. About me, I'm Vijay Dhanasekaran. I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mhm.
I've been working for big consulting firms for quite a decade. And then since 2015, when I've been into blockchain. One of
Mhm.
my friend told me about the Bitcoin in 2012. At the time, I did not pay much attention to Bitcoin. At the time, the price of the Bitcoin was $20.
Mhm.
Uh, but again, when I recoup and look at it at 2015, it went past $3,000, I guess. So
Yeah.
then it got my attention, and then I digged into the technology, the blockchain, the underlying technology, which I mean, which on which the Bitcoin is built on, right? So after that, I've been into the Bitcoin and blockchain space since 2016, and I've been working with enterprises as well as with startups and also with some hedge funds
Mhm.
in helping them with their portfolio building on the Web3. And I think blockchain tech as a technology has come a long way since 2016. At
Mhm.
that point in time, only we have Bitcoin and Ethereum. And after that, it's kind of a full blast. Like there are a lot of players in the space. And it's quite interesting at this moment. After the pandemic, everything got fired up. And
Mhm.
we are at a very exciting times, I would say.
Yeah. So just along the lines, when we talk about blockchain technology, we all know that the North American region has seen, the rapid adoption of blockchain technology. So when we talk about blockchain adoption within the Asian market, so how does, how are things looking up in the Asian market?
I think it depends on the countries where there are few countries, those are pro for blockchain adoption and
Mhm.
Bitcoin as a digital asset.
Mhm.
And even within Asia region, there are some spots like Singapore, they are very pro. And in Europe, there are countries like Germany and England. They are
Mhm.
kind of very pro in adopting these blockchain
Mhm.
technologies and also accepting crypto asset as a kind of asset class. Likewise, US also has been pro in adopting to the new age changes that technology have brought in. I would say that the adoption is widespread.
Mhm.
Also, it depends on the country, like where you live in and how supportive the country is. So, rather than putting it over the region, I would say that maybe there are few countries which are very pro in accepting this as a new age platform, while other are still catching up the game.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
how the region is split right now.
Mhm. I hope this decentralized era, really provides some real success to pretty much every region and pretty much every organization, because it has a lot of promise, and it promises to bring in a lot of transparency, a lot of credibility in the whole ecosystem, right? So let me just quickly jump on to the main topic of discussion today, which is Web3, right? So why don't you start off by explaining Web3 to our audience? Like, what would be your way of explaining Web3 to someone who has just started off, or has little knowledge about Web3 and blockchain? So what would be your simple guide about Web3?
Sure, I'll go back in history, like when the
Mm-hmm.
internet era happened,
Mm-hmm.
like in 90s. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a very basic internet where companies push content in the web. We just consume that. So that is, we call it as Web 1, like
Mm-hmm.
Netscape era and Yahoo era, where you just access your email or you just see some news or information on the website, which is being pushed by the big corporation who own the internet at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Then fast forward 10 years, then we see the next generation of internet that comes with the social media and mobile, where you see a big transformation where you not only read or you not only being a spectator, but you create content in the web. Like it is a two-way communication. Like the corporations moderate what content you create and then publish it, and a wide spread of audience would be able to consume that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of both read and write. Like you write and also you read as well and you consume. So that's how the second wave of internet, which we call it as Web 2.
Yep.
Now we are into entering into an era that is called Web 3. The primary motivator for this is not only read or write, but also you own the content,
Mm-hmm.
which was lagging in the Web 2. Web 2 is
Mm-hmm.
primarily like you give the content, but the corporation or the platform moderator, who is mostly the big corporations, they own the data.
Mm-hmm.
Though you create it, you are not completely owning it. They can decide like what you wanted to do with the data.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are moving into era where Web3, you create, right, as well, you own the data. Whatever content you own, you can monetize that. You have a complete ownership of what you have done in
Mm-hmm.
Web3. And not only that, and the experience, like the experience have improved over time from Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3. Likewise, so Web 2 also it's kind of we have a very rich experience with Web 2 with mobile and sophistication of other front end technology tools. Likewise, in Web 3, we are kind of we are going to have a very rich experience. It's going to be very interactive and intuitive and also immersive. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
other things that's going to come along. You're not going to consume the information only through your laptop or through your browser or your mobile. There are going to be other edge devices that's going to help you to experience the Web3, right? So that is going to be a big game changer. So
Mm-hmm.
these kind of changes are going to come in and change the way how we interact and operate and consume internet. So that is
Mm-hmm.
what the big thing about Web3. Certain companies are already working on that, already invested hugely into it, but others
Mm-hmm.
are still catching up. We are at a very nascent stage at this point. We are a very, very early stage. So probably next 3 to 5 years would be we will be seeing drastic changes in the way how we communicate with the internet.
Yeah, exactly. And the way you've explained it, and at the towards the end, you said, we are still in the nascent stages. And I've, interacted with a lot of people within this blockchain space, and everybody would have this kind of mindset that we are still in the early stages, and there are yet to, we are yet to address some concerns that are there. And when I talk about concerns, we think about the scalability issue that is still there, the regulatory aspect, right, the data protection. So there are people who are still sort of skeptical about the whole concept of blockchain, right? So I was wondering, like, are we just ready to see this transition from Web 2 to Web 3, or because beforehand we can probably just address the challenges that are faced by the blockchain in itself? So what are your thoughts around that?
I think it's going to happen in iteration and phases.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe initially we may be tapping on some of the low-hanging fruits where we can have better value with Web3. It's not completely a changeover, but maybe we just look at easily fixable things and try to leverage that for Web3 initially. But over a period of time, it's going to change the entire ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And new use cases and new utilities, new services are going to emerge out of this because it has a lot of potential and people might utilize that. Um, maybe once they understand like what is the potential of it. Right now,
Mm,
as I said, like many companies are exploring, but still nobody have figured out like how the future of Web3 is going to be. If somebody
mm,
asked me in the early 90s to see what is internet, I would not have defined the internet what I see today,
mhm,
right? So that is what happening. There is a lot of exploration happening, a loss of possibility, lot of opportunity, and I would say that there will be a lot of failures also
mhm,
down the line.
mhm,
But from that we learn, and then we build a more robust ecosystem
mhm.
once we learn from our mistakes.
Hmm. Yeah, spot on. And when you mentioned earlier about the big tech giants like Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, right? So when we talk about Web3, we have seen many organizations like OpenSea, then Decentralized, Sandbox, which are already blockchain based, and they have started their operations with blockchain as their core principle, right? So when we talk about these big tech giants with respect to Web 2, they are the giants in Web 2 space, right? So how would they cope up, and how will these two worlds merge when Web 3 comes into place?
Sure, I think we will have both players, big corporations that are going to be definitely they wanted to shift over to Web3 and capture like what is good for their business.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, we have open communities like Decentraland, Sandbox, Illuvium. These
Mm-hmm.
are communities. They are kind of creator-owned economies or creator-centric uh,
Mm-hmm.
platforms. They are also having a level playing field with blockchain, with the help of blockchain, along with the big corporations. So they are going to balance it out to see like what works in Web3 for the big corporation and what works for the community, right? So it's going to emerge, and whoever is going to be, I mean, they're going to coexist, but
Mm-hmm.
whoever is going to be the winner is decided by the marketplace.
Yeah.
So that's how it's going to be. Earlier with the Web 2, only big corporations can own those platforms,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe small creators or developers or these kind of communities may not have any say or may not have any means for them to compete with them. But now,
Mm-hmm.
with the help of blockchain and the backbone of it, they are able to leverage that, and they
Mm-hmm.
have a same level playing field as big corporations. So there are going to be open source as well as there are going to be closed networks. So they're going to work together. We have to wait and see like how they're going to interact with each other.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they are gonna coexist like in, let's say, 5 years down the line when this Web3 infrastructure is ready to go, right? So that's what the future looks like, right? So now let me jump on to my second question, that would be along the lines of technology landscape, right? So when we talk about blockchain, we know blockchain would bring in the decentralized era and everything. So but in Web3, artificial intelligence, machine learning would also play a big role, right? So,
Mhm.
and also edge computing. So, how are these three technologies, in sync with blockchain, and what kind of contributions these technologies would bring in the future?
I think, as you said, like the Web3 is going to be more about experience and also
Mm-hmm.
data ownership and also data integration with different platforms together. So AI,
Mm-hmm.
ML, and robotics. There are other pillars too, like computer vision, and as well as their 5G internet. Like these are kind of some of the accelerators or catalyst for
Mm-hmm.
Web3 because it's going to have a lot of bandwidth and a lot of data transfer can happen over the network, and also with AI and robotics, you can give a very rich experience in the spatial computing space. Like, I mean, the natural extension for it may not be natural, but the other extension we are talking about is metaverse, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Web3 metaverse is going to be like a huge thing. And for that, AI and edge computing and other catalysts like robotics and computer vision. I mean, there are going to be user interaction. It's going to be more immersive with these kind
Mm-hmm.
of technologies. And there is going to be huge opportunity for such companies to come and see like how we can leverage that user experience, right? How we can make the user experience seamless between the physical and digital world, and then that makes a huge difference. And in that space, I see a lot of these technologies going to help the next wave of Web3 to evolve.
Mm. Okay, yeah, interesting times, and it was interesting to know when you mentioned the concept of metaverse, because when we talk about Web three, we also think about metaverse as well, right? So
Mhm.
we're gonna talk about Web three and metaverse, but before that, I wanted to understand the role of DAOs, the decentralized autonomous organizations. How are things shaping up with respect to DAO and Web three?
Because there's a huge opportunity for communities to come together. DAO
Mm-hmm.
is nothing but a decentralized autonomous organization, right? That can be enabled with the help of blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And with the help of governance rule, you can deploy it in the blockchain network. You can control the network in the way how the governing rules are defined, right? So that is the major major point in the DAOs.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, like Web3 is going to coexist with big players.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be open source communities as well. So these
Yeah.
communities are coming together with the help of DAO, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they can define their own governing rules and see like how the platform can be shaped up to compete with the others in the marketplace. So for
Mm-hmm.
that, DAOs are going to be hugely beneficial, and it's going to be community driven, and
Yeah.
there is going to be a lot of voice for the community people who are very much interested in the community, and as well
Mm-hmm.
as who have a very good stake I mean, they have the skin in the game, so
Mm-hmm.
they can again define like what is the proposals that can get approved for the governing governance body in that DAO organization, and that way they can define the future of that
Mm-hmm.
blockchain ecosystem, right? So that is a
Mm-hmm.
huge thing. It never existed before. It was
Mm-hmm.
there offline, and it was controlled by a mediator, right? Before.
Mm-hmm.
Now we don't need to have that mediator in place, and everything can be coded and
Mm-hmm.
as a smart contract into the ecosystem. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a huge advantage for the communities to come together. So that may be one of the game-changing invention with the blockchain ecosystem. So we
Yeah.
need to wait and see like how these communities are evolving, because I see, as you said, Decentraland, Sandbox, Illuvium, they are kind of all fully blockchain-based ecosystem,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they are driven by these communities, and these communities are driven again by the DAO organizations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to wait and see like how these communities are evolving and how they are solving the challenges that exist in the ecosystem, and then that may become a trendsetter for others to follow.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so fascinating to see that the blockchain industry in itself has evolved so much, because initially back in 2008 it was, just known for cryptocurrencies,
Mhm.
and people still, some people think that, crypto and Bitcoin are, oh, crypto and blockchain are one of the same things, but which is not right. People still have that kind of perspective. But the fact that they have the industry in itself have evolved so much, we have, dApps, we have, applications in the financial sector, that is DeFi, and then we have smart contracts and DAOs, and now we are talking about Web three and Metaverse. So it has evolved so much, and I am really looking forward to all the developments in the future. So now let's dial back to the concept of Metaverse, right? So just as the misconception between crypto and blockchain, people still think that Web3 and metaverses can also be, used interchangeably, which is not right. I would say Web3 is more about, giving the control back to the users,
Mhm.
and metaverse is more concerned towards how users interact in that particular environment, right? So
Yes,
I
Scott. Yeah.
so I'd say metaverse would be a substrata of Web3. Am I correct?
Yeah, we can put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of other things to metaverse, right? So Web3 may be the enabler for it, but
Mm-hmm.
metaverse is kind of a total paradigm shift to
Mm-hmm.
see like how we interact with the internet. It's more about the interaction what we have with them and the experience we are going to get with it,
Mm-hmm.
with the benefit of all other advantages of Web3, right? So that's how I would put it. So whatever you see in the physical world can have a digital presence, right? And that can be teleported
Mm-hmm.
to the metaverse,
Yeah.
right? So whatever physical form you have, like NFTs are huge inventions.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of in the past 2 years. I mean, it's changed the game of all the digital assets what we used to get it in this space, right?
Mm-hmm.
So likewise, anything can be physical, can be teleported to metaverse, and can be uh, and from there you can do whatever you want in the virtual world,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's how the things are going to evolve. And as I said, like the edge computing devices, like the VR and XR, like extended reality, that's going to
Hmm.
help us a lot, like how we interact in that space.
Hmm.
And we would have a phygital experience where you have a physical person, and also you have a digital twin for you to go
Hmm.
and interact and do like whatever we do now in a two-dimensional space, right? Shopping, we do school, we learn, and we work, and we meet people, we
Hmm.
conduct events, there will be marketplace. So all can be uh, created in the virtual world with the help of metaverse.
Hmm.
And you're going to have a rich experience with the help of this computing device, I mean edge computing devices, so that you will feel that you are very much there rather than you're physically here, like.
Hmm.
So that kind of experience is going to give a very good opportunity for brands to catch up, to see like how they wanted to treat their customers, and
Hmm.
then see like how they wanted to interact in the metaverse. This is
Hmm.
already happening in started happening in the gaming and entertainment space,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
are going to see widespread adoption in um, other areas as well, maybe
Hmm.
down the line.
Hmm.
Roblox is one of the example we can say, like it's been huge hit among I mean Generation Alpha
Hmm.
people. I mean they are kind of creating their own world into it. They are interacting with their friends.
Hmm.
They are socializing there. They are playing games with them. So it's already started happening, but you're going to see widespread adoption of that with the help of blockchain technology and Web3,
Hmm.
and it will take it to the next level to see like what kind of experience we can leverage in that space.
Hmm. Yeah, that was you have summarized everything so well, and I could just learn so much just by listening to what you were saying, and and the point you mentioned about the gaming and the entertainment industry. So that was my next question to you, like which industries are more relevant and which industries would benefit more from the this transition from Web 2 to Web 3, right? So the gaming industry comes into the head the first, and then the media and the entertainment industry as well. So apart from these two industries, are there any other industries that can also see a significant benefit from Web 3?
Actually, I would say that because of blockchain, right, the underpinning of all of this,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that change, that brings a disruptive change to every industry that we know. We
Mm-hmm.
are visibly seeing that happening with the Web3 and Metaverse and kind of entertaining and media space. But I
Mm-hmm.
also see I mean, things are changing drastically in the way how we do finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the DeFi, there is a lot of optimization happening, and banks and other financial institutions are kind of working on their own kind of blockchain environment where they can leverage this for their benefit, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
happening. I see
Yeah.
changes happening in the healthcare as well,
Mm-hmm.
for companies to communicate and how to have a better experience for the patients, and
Mm-hmm.
how we can optimize the cost. That is also happening. And I also see changes happening in the supply chain, where you have a supply chain route. You can track the raw material from where it comes from to where it goes to the retail store, right? So you can have the complete audit and tracking history. And also there is also optimization happening, like different parties come together who are involved in the supply chain ecosystem, and they kind of interact with each other with the help of blockchain. So that is also happening.
Mm-hmm.
Visibly, we are seeing with the Web3, like in the gaming and entertainment, maybe the front runner on
Mm-hmm.
the metaverse and the experience side, but underlying with the backbone of the network and Web3 changing the way how we do things. So I see the change happening across most of the industries.
Hmm. Okay. So, and what about the regulatory aspect? When you think about anything, this big, that has so much promise, people still think about they are concerned about the regulatory aspect, that like there's no such regulatory authority behind this whole idea. So how would, things shape up, let's say 10 years down the line without a regulatory authority, or are there, any developments that are putting a system in place that would regulate this whole ecosystem? So
Yeah,
what do you
as I
think?
said, like we are at a very nascent stage.
Mm-hmm.
and governments and government authorities are taking a note of it and observing like what's happening in the space. They're also
Mm-hmm.
catching up. Like some countries are very much pro to be blockchain centric or digital first citizenship or something like that, right? Like Dubai, they are very much pro, and Singapore, they are very active in promoting these kind of companies, and they are looking at it at a very futuristic way to see like how this can be adopted and make an economical impact for their country as well as for the citizens, right? So they are taking a close look at like things happening at the space, and they are also making rules and boundaries to see like how the regulations can apply within that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of emerging. I would say maybe in the next 3 to 5 years we would have a clear understanding about like where this is heading to, and there will be a lot of regulations that happening around to see like to make humans safe within Web3, and
Mm-hmm.
also maintain the privacy and security within the metaverse and other that comes along with this change, right? So I see that already happening, but it may take a while for that to get materialized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so when we talk about the, next 3 to 5 years, right? So I know the industry in itself is in very early stages, but then what would be your thought? What would you predict for this particular industry of blockchain? How would things look like, and will the things would be will things look for a will there be a system in place that would bring in more transparency, or we'll still say that 5 years down the line that we are still in the nascent stages.
No, no, I think the level of change that is happening every day, it's astonishing, and it's happening at a very fast pace. So
Hmm.
I would say that by 3 to 5 years, we would be already having our interaction with the internet with Web3 already
Hmm.
happening,
Hmm.
and it's going to change the way how we communicate, maybe how we work, how we learn, and how we get entertained, right?
Hmm.
So all that is going to change. Like as I said before, like there is going to be a phygital connection. Like we are now into a two-dimensional space, but maybe once Web3 become the base norm for the internet, then it's going to be more interactive, and we are going to go do things a little differently than what we do now,
Hmm.
like how you do the payments, how you interact with your teacher, like how you enjoy a movie or an event concert, right?
Hmm.
So all that
Hmm.
is going to change,
Hmm.
and maybe brands are already looking at exploration within the space to
Hmm.
see like how they can, like Nike and other brands, they are already into the space to see like how they can leverage this to have a more connection with the consumers, right? So those kind of things are already happening. We are going to see that kind of changes in the next 3 to 5 years, and uh, I would say like whatever, as I said, like whatever physical form you have, there may be a digital form to it. And
Hmm.
when you teleported into the digital form, then you are free to move around and do things between different universe, right? Communicate with that. As you said, like maybe now we can see as silos, like Facebook is one, Amazon is one, and Twitter is one. There may
Hmm.
be interaction between all these spaces when it becomes a metaverse, right? So those
Hmm.
kind of things are going to happen, but that's going to take a little longer because things needs to be figured out uh, at that level. So initially, we will see changes that happening the way how we interact with the internet. Like there may be no username password anymore,
Hmm.
right? You connect your wallet and you log into your application, and in within the application you have all the data, whatever you have, right? Then from there it's going to get more utilities and services that's going to emerge out of that. So that's
Hmm.
going to happen, and you have the complete control of your data. Like you decide like what you wanted to give it to the other party, rather than
Hmm.
other parties say like we are going to have this data and these are the policy rules that we are going to follow. Rather than going for that, like you have your data, then you define that like
Hmm.
this is my data and I wanted to do with this, and this is my controls and our boundaries around that. So
Yeah.
those kind of things you can do with that.
Hmm. Yeah, great. And you have concluded everything so well. Like I still just wanted to ask you if before we wrap this thing up, if there are any words of wisdom or any concluding thoughts that you would want to share with our audience, with respect to Web3, blockchain, crypto, NFTs, whatever, any concluding thoughts or words of wisdom for our audience, just to end this on that note.
Yeah, I think Bitcoin may be the starting point of this with the
Mm-hmm.
blockchain as a technology.
Mm-hmm.
Only after that, now others are catching up to have more powerful tools using that paradigm shift that happened with Bitcoin, right? Crypto is not blockchain or Bitcoin. Crypto is it's kind of a different arena. Like it happens with the help of blockchain, but the
Yeah.
blockchain is kind of a have a huge potential.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than cryptos and Bitcoin. So people sometimes they think that maybe crypto, blockchain, and Web3 all combined together. No, each one
Mm-hmm.
has its own space, and
Yeah.
innovations are happening in each of that area.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I would say that this is a natural evolution from where we came from, like Web 1 to Web 3, and this is going to go for a long way. And many have some doubts about like Web 3 to see like whether it's going to make it like all the promises it's making right now.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be failures, but it has a huge potential as well to reshape the way how we communicate through the internet, right? So I would say that there is lots happening in the space, and in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to drastically change the way how we communicate and interact and socialize with each other. So watch the space. There is a lot of exciting things happening, and
Mm-hmm.
you would certainly will be able to feel that maybe in the coming years.
Mhm. Yeah, wow. It was lovely knowing all these aspects and a great way to sort of summarize to what we have sort of discussed today. And definitely, it was an interactive and interesting session. So it was lovely having you on our podcast, and I'm sure our audience would definitely benefit a lot from our podcast today. So again, thank you so much, Vijay, for sparing your time and joining in today and being a part of the Peak Blockchain podcast.
Absolute pleasure, Gravit. Thanks for hosting this, and you're a very very kind host. I would say that the questions you put together is brought up the things what I wanted to say to the community and the audience, right? So you put it together well. So I appreciate that aspect.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really glad you liked it, and I'm sure we can probably have some very interesting podcasts in the future as well on various other subjects within this space.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much, Vijay. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.